Hello you, and welcome to this special live stream. I am Governor Ron DeSantis. Younger, taller, and better looking I may be, but today we're here to discuss Hurricane Milton and its possibly catastrophic effects. Today, while FEMA and the United States government have put their support behind the state of Florida, we've enlisted the help of Frenik Labs and my friend Jordan Sandler to help us in developing an AI plan that will help soften the landing of this hurricane. Jordan, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Thank you, Governor. I appreciate you having me here today. You know, AI, it doesn't really think about things like red tape or anything else related to government bureaucracy. And there's a lot of different ways that we can approach a problem. And we've been approaching these problems very similarly for many years, wouldn't you say?
I would agree.
And there's so much regulation around what is okay, what's not okay, when really we are in a height of economic power when it comes to some of the companies in America that could offer a lot of help in these types of situations. And Governor, you shared a statistic with me earlier. What was the estimated devastation?
Over $170 billion in potential damage from this hurricane. And you and your team have given us a couple of very interesting ways that we may be able to mitigate the results of that.
So I think that's a good lead into what the solutions are. So today we're not going to really talk about the plans, how you engage with them, but we're going to talk about the overall strategy of how we are going to implement new activities and new ways of saving lives in something where people are being really put in danger. And this storm is something greater than we've seen in many years.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, one of the strongest ever recorded in American history. And so while many think of the devastation after the storm, one of the largest effects that we have before a storm is the lack of connectivity. For instance, think of when you're at a sporting event and you can't get signal because you are throttled. And Jordan and his team have put together a very interesting proposal in terms of how we can enable people who are evacuating to have untethered connectivity so that we can get more people out and more people safe prior to the storm.
Yeah, and one of my thoughts were, how do we get connectivity to countries and areas where infrastructure is not great enough to be able to support cell phone towers and things of that nature? So I looked into how we and Mark Zuckerberg was able to connect Africa through using drone mesh networks. What I realized was we have all of that here, but it's inside of the private sector. And so the private sector, they have spent a lot of money in research and development, getting their products out. Let's mitigate the 170 million and maybe spend some of that money getting Facebook and these other internet providers to activate mesh networks so we don't lose connection. Because if we lose connection, we don't get any emergency signals. You don't know who's safe, and you're really isolated. So I think that's one of our initial plans.
Exactly. As many people say, the best reaction is excellent preparation. And while we've already spoken to the U.S. government and the White House, and we have initiated plans to get Starlink in place for internet in Florida after the storm, having connectivity and people able to connect while they're evacuating, and people who are in the adjacent areas who are not necessarily required to evacuate is absolutely paramount. And the drone mesh network is what we believe to be the best solution that could save hundreds of millions of dollars.
Most definitely. And so let's move to deployment of supply chains to supply chain and things that people need in a dire situation. Let's talk about water and food. So when we talk about water and food, there's so much information and information computing power to be able to understand where are groups and pockets that need the most help. So let's leverage these massive engines that are able to sort through so much information so quickly to make those decisions for us. We are predicting that using AI to help us understand where the greatest need is, we are going to reduce delays of things people need by 80% comparative to when humans were doing it in the past.
Absolutely. And not only that, but the enablement of drone technology in delivery of those when many of the roads and highways will be closed or flooded is another hugely helpful piece of information that you've been able to deliver to us.
On to the next. So unfortunately, there is going to be devastation. There is going to be a hurricane that hits and causes damage. So what do we do next? We figure out how we can get the people that stayed or the people that got caught in an area where we didn't see this happening have to get rescued. So when we start with search and rescue, I did a lot of research about what is the leading reason of death when there is a catastrophe similar to what we might see here. And it's lack of supply to medical equipment when they have a medical condition. So let's use diabetes as an example. If you have diabetes and you have insulin in your fridge or in your home that got destroyed, you now are at risk for a diabetic stroke. And that is something that is very life-threatening beyond the storm. But my biggest issue is the fact that this is preventable. Because let's talk about Amazon. Amazon's beta testing its drone delivery program in multiple different markets. It's said that they have over 10,000 drones already built, ready for deployment. But right now their beta test is only 500. So you've got 9,500-ish drones sitting in a community somewhere that can't use them. And it makes no sense. Why would we comply with FAA regulation just because I can't fly a drone and it hasn't been tested enough yet? It makes no sense. And so my suggestion is give Amazon a sum of money for them to come and bring those drones. And those drones can be run off of location-based services that you really don't need a lot of technology to be able to solicit that need. So think microsite, think I'm over here, I'm pressing my phone saying I need insulin and an Amazon drone comes in. Mind you, this is all already at our disposal.
Absolutely. Of course, you and your team know we've already requested and been approved for over $1 billion in funding and resources from the federal government, including FEMA. However, they have not deployed any private industry resources from Amazon, such as the aforementioned drones.
So one of the things which is crazy, you say $1 billion and there's $165 billion in expected devastation. Why would we only spend $1 billion saving our Americans? So this is where we need to loosen the red tape, loosen the regulation, and start making decisions that save lives. Wouldn't you agree?
I do agree, and it wouldn't be the first time the federal government has done this. As you know, when OxyContin was first approved in the early 2000s, even not related to a federal or national emergency, they were able to fast track the FDA approval of OxyContin, which ended up actually not being beneficial to Americans. So why not do it in an instance where you can save potentially thousands of Americans?
And another instance where we found inside of the private sector that there was opportunity to fill such a great need. What happens when you're in a storm and it knocks down a power line? Boom. You have no power. Why would we catch ourselves in a situation where we don't have power? You've got Tesla. Tesla is creating not only great cars, but some of the most functional batteries on this planet. And they have batteries that can supply power not just to a home, but they have enough batteries that could supply power that could go against the whole grid. And while, yes, this is an expensive, very cumbersome task, all of these resources are in America. So why are we not using them when we know you're going to run out of power? Why would we let you fail and falter in that situation? It doesn't make sense.
It truly doesn't. And when it comes to power and similar resources, what does the data tell us? What does the AI tell us is the most efficient path to mitigate and then later recover from the results of this storm?
The largest single factor to helping people recover and get back on their feet in their community is restoring power. It is 40% of the devastation that is seen across America. It's insane. And let's go to long-term housing, or for people that their house got wiped out. There are so many modular homes and untraditional housing methods that we can use to help deploy communities and get people under a roof rather than displacing them and making them find home in a new home. And these are just some of the resources. And that one might be a little bit more just helping people feel comfortable, right? Like that's not your life's threatened. You can move to another community and you're gonna be okay. But how about your kids getting thrown into a new school? Your wife, she's got to join a new tennis team. I mean, it's devastating. So why not keep our households together? I want to know from you and about a little bit about the devastation when it comes to the water levels that you were describing earlier.
We see in Florida, as we've seen in New Orleans, and we've seen in other coastal communities during hurricanes and hurricane recoveries, that there are storm surges of 5 to 15 feet, depending on the storm, this one being particularly strong. And one of the things that is the most detrimental is the rising sea levels that cause absolutely dangerous conditions for all of the people that live in these communities. So what can we do to help prevent and mitigate those results?
It's honestly something that we have to figure out because we can't plan for the worst scenario in every which way of our life. We can't plan that the water levels are going to rise beyond levels that they've ever been before. That is a waste of money and taxpayer dollars. But what we can do is we can use taxpayer dollars to help save lives. And that's what we need to do here. And there's so many different ways that we can do that. And the last one I'm going to leave you with is healthcare. There are devices, wearables, things that are related to your heart when it comes to pacemakers that are all Wi-Fi and connected to the network to be able to give that information back to your doctor. Again, America, invest. You give a free Apple Watch to somebody in Tampa today so you can know that their blood pressure, that their heart rate, everything is okay. It is going again, and I will hit that $170+ billion over and over and over again. Because why would we only allocate $1 billion right now when we could do more to prevent devastation?
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you and your team's assessment of what has gone on in the past and what is currently going on. And with Hurricane Milton, what are the ways that we can take a historically strong storm, but combat it with historically strong Americans, historically strong resources, and a historically strong American economy to protect the people in Florida? So not only have we discussed what's going to happen before the storm, how we assess and mitigate the results during the storm, and how we help this community recover after the storm, but what are the long-term things that we can do that truly make America a stronger nation because we're able to band together and prevent some of the catastrophic effects?
I agree. And in closing, I want to tell you, America, I might use ChatGPT to make this plan, but it thinks differently. And I challenge you to think differently. Technology is only as strong as its operator. And I'm telling you, I know how to operate. And operating in America means saving American lives. And I'm here for you. This governor brought me in to be here for you. And I will close on this. God bless America. Don't end that stream. We're going to keep talking. That was fun.
That was, what are we?
We're talking.
We're just,
You know, so Facebook, YouTube, all of the alike.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. But I want to tell you a little bit about why we did that. We by no means are taking the situation down in Florida lightly. There are people that are in danger. There are people whose lives, their children, grandmothers and elderly that can't move because of medical conditions. It is time for America to think differently. And it was a big aha moment for me yesterday when I just started researching some of the things that, when you talk about third world countries that lack infrastructure and devastation in other countries, that they do that would help us so much. And we need to get over that the private sector wants to make money, and the private sector also needs to be pro-America. You want to talk a little bit about how we kind of got to these solutions today?
Yeah, I think a lot of people may have the inclination that this is some type of political statement. However, that is not true. What it really is a statement that technology is here to supplement humans. And it is at a capability that we've never seen before. And we're not using it to its fullest capability to avoid both disasters like this, which obviously you think a hurricane can't be avoided, but it's also not being used to its maximum capability to determine what resources can be used to help prevent the effects of it. When you're talking about $200 billion worth of damage, it's not only a service to the American people, it's a service to the American economy, service to the American government, and it's something that we should all be thinking about. So if you're anti-email, right, probably some of the older crowd, you know what? Maybe see what it has to offer. If you're anti-ChatGPT because you think AI is going to take over the world, guess what? Maybe in 150 years, but not right now. Right now, what we have are the resources to help each other and help make the world a better place. So if you're not taking the time to learn how to use them and learn how to apply them to whatever it is your gifts are in this world, then you're doing yourself and you're doing the people around you a disservice.
That was actually beautiful. And it's so true. And I say that kind of funny, but at the same time, embrace the opportunity of technology and what there is to offer. There is, yet last night at about 11 o'clock, I couldn't sleep and I challenged myself to see if me and ChatGPT could make a better recovery plan in the United States of America. I will leave that up to you, whether I did that or not. All I challenge you to do is think differently, be strong, and pray for the people of Florida. Thank y'all so much.
Have a good night.